Hello everyone. Now I'd just like to preface this video and say I am not white, but I am part white and I know the culture, at least British culture, very well. So I will be kind of the third party type thing that Skeptor did with his video. I can't believe everybody's already said something, but I'm sure I could think of something original and out of this box. Well, here we go. Buzzfeed's 24 questions from black people to white people.
Why do you always make such horrible decisions in horror movies? It's not cool to split up.
Because horror movies are not real. Horror movies need a plot that needs to be driven forward to their logical or illogical conclusion depending on how good the movie is. And by the way, I've seen plenty of horror movies where the black person makes the wrong decision and gets killed. In fact, in the 80s, there was a trope where the black person dies first in almost every action movie and sometimes horror movies too. I mean, the black guy dies in Alien, even though that's technically 70s. They also die in Aliens. They also die in Alien 3, although really he sacrificed himself to be a bit of a distraction for Ripley, but never mind. I know these are all Alien films, and actually that was the 90s, but who cares, you know. Horror films. Yeah, it's because they're movies, and they're not real, and they need to kill people so that the film is entertaining and doesn't last 5 minutes, because if everybody sticks together, you know, and if they don't do the Scooby-Doo, then the movie doesn't do anything. There's no conflict, nothing happens. Jason can't kill anyone, can he? Or he kills everyone, and that's it. It's done. And, by the way, what's wrong with white people in horror movies? I mean, Night of the Living Dead, the main character's black. Dawn of the Dead, main character's black. Although, two main characters, and the one was white woman, but who cares? I don't understand why this is a question. I don't understand why you want to ask white people this question. I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, girl.
Why do you freak out when black people are cast to play white fictional characters?
Because nobody likes changing a character for diversity's sake, not for an artistic sake. The reason why people like to see a character that is depicted as something to be as it is depicted. You know, you wouldn't like it if Blade was depicted as white, would you? You wouldn't like it if a white actor, say like, I don't know, Daniel Craig played Blade, would you? So I don't see why you think it's acceptable to change a white character to a black character, but we can't change a black character to a white character for the exact same reasons. That's hypocrisy, mate. Because I know for a fact that you would hate that and you would be going out complaining on Twitter to all your hipster friends saying, rah, 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 they changed Blade to white, rah, 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 rah. You wouldn't like it, would you? And I wouldn't like it if it was a mixed race character either, by the way. I like to keep things as they are.
What's the big deal if Idris Elba plays James Bond? I would go see it twice.
You see, that's different because there's been so many actors that have played James Bond and that the film series itself has just completely changed from the original adaptations from the books. That is a completely different universe nowadays, really. I mean, most of the films now aren't even based on the books. They are self-contained stories within a self-contained, I'd wager, completely different universe now. And really, 007 is a code name. So one could argue that all these other James Bonds, you know, from Sean Connery up to Daniel Craig, are different people using the James Bond moniker and the 007 code name. So it is reasonable to assume that Idris Elba could play James Bond, and I have no problem with that. I would love him to be James Bond. I think you'll find a lot of people wouldn't mind him like that at all, although I think it would be a lot easier to handle for some people if we didn't make a big deal out of his race. Can we just say, this great actor is going to play James Bond? Okay? Can we just say, it's a great actor playing James Bond? It's Idris fucking Elba, one of the coolest guys on the planet. Luther, for fuck's sake. But no, we have to make a big deal out of something superficial.
Why is a big butt and big lips considered attractive on a white woman, but they're unattractive on a black woman?
I've never heard anybody ever say that. No one has ever said that it's more acceptable for a white woman to have big lips and big arses than black women. In fact, quite the opposite. Quite the opposite, in fact. I've noticed that it's a lot more preferential for a black woman to have big lips and and a big ass than white women. I don't know why, it's just people's preferences. I've never heard anyone say that it was any less acceptable, okay? I've never heard that, and may I just, give you a bit of a, friendly advice? Or if someone said this to you, I don't think they meant it as all black women. I think maybe they mean you, as in, you're not attractive. Just my, observation and guesstimation, I mean, don't mind me.
Do y'all really think Miley is the one who created twerking? Really?
No, nobody thinks that. Nobody thinks that Miley Cyrus created twerking. That is patently obvious that she never did. In fact, I'd wager it's my Caribbean cousins who invented twerking, actually, as Goodfella pointed out. It was probably had its origins in the dancehall tradition, in the dance halls in Jamaica and other Caribbean countries where they play basically electronic reggae with hip-hop influences. So really, it's not even part of your culture. It's technically mine. Who's appropriating it now, eh?
Why am I supposed to teach you how to twerk? I don't know how to twerk.
Nobody wants you to teach anyone how to twerk, especially you.
Why is it that white people always act as though they have discovered a new trend when people of color have been doing it for virtually years?
Because to them, it is a new trend.
Why is it when a black woman wears her hair natural, it's seen as inappropriate, but when a white woman does, it's praised?
Nobody has ever said that. I have never met anyone who says it's more acceptable for a white woman to have her naturally straight hair than it is for a black woman to have her naturally curly hair. Oh, by the way, not all black people have naturally curly or frizzy hair. Nubians, a lot of them have naturally straight hair. Or wavy hair, like me. I've got wavy hair. I've never seen anybody say that. I've never heard anybody say that. In fact, later on, where you complain about this other problem, why do you think people love the hair so much? Why do you think you have people wanting to touch it and feel it? Because it's great. People love kinky hair. People love curly hair. It looks great on you.
This is the hair that I was born with, so you wearing it as a trend is not cute.
Wow, where did you get your GCSEs from, love? Very smart. I mean, apparently it's terrible for a white person to have curly hair because that totally doesn't happen in real life, does it? I mean, white people don't have curly hair naturally. Hell no. So when a white person wears curly hair, that is apparently appropriation. But when a black woman straightens her hair, apparently that's okay. That is okay.
Like, can you appropriate my student loans? Can you take that off my hands?
Wow. The fuck? That's not even... Ugh, fuck it. Next.
Why is it that white crime is seen as an isolated incident, but black crime is a representation of my entire community?
Only racist people think that way, mate. Nobody else thinks that way. And the problem is, it's because sadly, at least this is from a very American point of view. I'm British, so, it's different over here, sort of. Slightly similar, but not as much. The reason is, in America at least, I haven't checked the crime statistics in this country recently, so, bear with me. Black people commit more crime on average than white people. Therefore, racists judge your entire community based on those criminals. Mind you, it's not like people didn't, judge the entire white community of America when a recent shooting occurred in Charleston. But, hypocrisy, it can be ignored when it's social justice warriors doing it.
When we see a story on TV about a white serial killer, I don't automatically assume that all white people must be serial killers too.
That's not a question. That is a statement. And so what? Maybe you don't judge white people based on that alone, but you've certainly been judging white people through this entire video. What exactly have they done to you to deserve your ire? As far as I'm aware, them just existing has got all you people out on Buzzfeed complaining. In fact, you're not the only one who's done a statement as well. That woman before talking about her hair being natural and shouldn't be appropriated because apparently, white people don't have curly hair. As if they've never seen one of the most famous people in Hollywood, Michael Cera, as having curly hair, apparently he just, he doesn't exist, That's two statements, and the rest have been questions. So far it's been 22 questions. But to get back on topic, that would be racist if you did judge people based on a serial killer. And people did judge an entire community during the Charleston shooting. I saw nothing but people like you judging them. You know, when I mean people like you, I mean racists. Because so far, all I've seen is a bunch of racists complaining about a particular group of people.
Why does talking about race make you feel so uncomfortable?
Because you make them uncomfortable. Any false move, any wrong word that they say can be misconstrued as racist. Some white people are racist, yes, but not all of them are. And race is a very sensitive topic. Not just to you, but to white people. White people feel like they're treading on eggshells every time they bring up that conversation. Every time they're talking to someone like me or someone like you, they have to be careful that they're not being racist. Because it has been drummed into people that only white people can be racist and nobody else. When throughout human history, we have seen that that is not the case. That we have had loads of civilizations, loads of empires, be they black, Asian, white, have seen themselves as superior to their neighbours, hence why they go and conquer them and kill all their men, women and children. Do you not see why they are so sensitive and why they are so scared of talking about race? Are you that stupid? It's quite obvious why. Because it's ironic racists like you who make them feel uncomfortable. But, you know, never mind. Never mind.
Is it because you think that you'll be perceived as racist if you talk about race?
You don't really believe that racism is over because we have a black president, do you?
No. Nobody thinks that racism is over. In fact, I'm pretty sure by watching this very video, I can be definitely sure that racism is not over just because you have a mixed race president. Get it right. He's not black, he's mixed race. And was more brought up by his mum who was white than by his dad who was black. Although, I wish his dad probably had more of an influence because then he might well be an atheist, but he's not, sadly, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, where was I? Ah, yes. No, nobody thinks that American society is no longer racist just because that Barack Obama is now the president. In fact, if anything, it shows that this glass ceiling doesn't actually exist. If he can become president, that means you can be president. That means the guy before you can be president. That means the ladies can be a president. So, therefore, we can assume that there are no longer any barriers of entry. And that pretty much it's only your choice that can affect the outcome of your destiny. There are no more strings attached to you. Be free as birds.
Why is it so easy for you to notice when there are no white people around, but you hardly ever notice when there are no black people around?
I just love how you people think you can talk for all black people and all white people, but we'll be getting to that point in a minute. So you just think that white people don't notice when black people are around. They do, actually. They do very much notice when there are not a lot of black people around. Just as much as they would recognise that there aren't a lot of white people around either. There's a reason why these social justice warriors are complaining about the lack of people of colour, which, by the way, is a racist term, because it's basically just a nice way of saying coloured, by the way. Never mind that, let's carry on. No, that's why they complain that there's not enough people of colour, to use your terminology, in fields like STEM and in, you know, being video game protagonists and film protagonists, etc. Even though, really, there shouldn't be an awful lot because there's simply not an awful lot of them in our respective countries. Me included, I am not a massive part of the population. So, yeah, that's why. To answer your question, they do notice. I certainly notice, and you certainly notice. But then again, of course you'd notice, because you people have race on your mind 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I mentioned a story when I was a kid about not realising I was in a majority Asian school in my early childhood, and then completely not realising I was in an all-white secondary school until it was pointed out to me. Because, you see, people who aren't racist don't really care about race that much. They don't care. And it takes someone to notice something for them to realise that, yeah, there's not a lot of their race, or there's or they're the majority. People just don't care about these things. At least normal people don't care, but you ideologues care an awful lot.
Why is your goal to be colorblind?
What a stupid question. This is why.
Because I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
And I'm sure he will be rolling in his grave at the mention of that stupid question. Because I want to live, and I'm sure white people want to live in a society where we are not judged on such superficial standards and superficial reasons. Because my skin is darker than theirs, and their skin is lighter than mine, and your skin is darker than mine, and mine's lighter than yours. These are stupid reasons. To be colourblind is a good thing, not a bad thing. You absolute racist.
There's so many different types of people in the world, yet you can't see color?
Okay, you are legitimately stupid. You are brainless. This is what social justice does. It makes you stupid. Okay, we are not talking about literal colour blindness. We are talking metaphorically speaking, where we do not judge you on your race and the colour of your skin, and we judge you on your actions and your words and your character. That's what we mean by colourblind, you imbecile.
Why do you want to say the N-word so badly?
No, they don't. They don't want to say the N-word so badly. They don't want to say it so badly. People don't like using racial epithets. But the thing is, I won't be surprised if some people do, because they don't like being told what to do, what to say, and feel if they were to say it, it would be going against the authority, maybe. I don't know. I'm just wondering. And again, how can you claim to speak for white people? How do you know that white people want to desperately say the N-word? And by the way, why don't you just go ahead and say it? Go ahead and say it. Stop censoring yourself. I know I did, but I'm mocking you when I'm saying it. Jesus Christ.
If I don't use it, what makes you think you can?
So what if you don't use the word? People can still say whatever words they want. It's a free world, not a free country, because I forget. You're Americans talking to me, a British person.
Why do you always want to touch our hair?
Nobody wants to touch your hair. And by the way, people might want to touch black people's hair because it feels nice. It has a nice texture to it. And it also looks nice. Maybe that's why. You're going to complain more about this in a minute.
Who told you it was okay to touch people without their permission?
Nobody. And every time I've seen someone touch a black person's hair, it's usually with their permission. You see, people understand personal space, and we understand, and people understand. And by people, I don't just mean white people. I mean normal people. Normal people with normal issues and problems understand that it is best to ask permission before they touch someone in that way. Nobody thinks it's right to touch someone without their permission, you idiot.
Why do you feel like having one black friend makes you a cultural expert or not a racist?
What? What? How do I even begin with this? How do I begin to even remotely answer this question? Well, if someone has black friends and they're white, I think that's pretty good indication that they're not racist. And it's not used as an excuse by these people. I think I'm pretty sure they're not racist. Otherwise they wouldn't be having these friends. And no, having a friend does not make you a cultural expert. And again, how can you read these people's minds? How do you know that white people suddenly think that they're cultural experts? Have you met someone who thinks they're a cultural expert because they have one friend who happens to be black? I haven't. If anything, that's you projecting onto them. That's you thinking that they think this when actually they don't. You idiot.
Is your only black friend comfortable with being the reason why you can't be racist?
I'd have to ask more than one of them. You see, I don't have just one friend who is black. I have several friends, in fact. I've got family members who are black. And as far as I know, I'm not a racist, and I wouldn't be a racist even if they weren't related to me or they weren't my friends. Because, unlike you, I don't judge people based on race.
By that logic, then I'm not racist. I have a ton of white friends.
Yet you're in a video that is quite racist. I think you need some self-awareness.
Why do you feel comfortable cursing at your parents?
They don't feel comfortable. I certainly don't feel comfortable doing it, but that's mainly because most white people aren't subject to corporal punishment as we are.
Why do you kiss your dogs on the mouth?
What? I don't understand. How is that a white thing, kissing dogs on mouths? Besides, not all white people have dogs. Some of them have cats, some of them have rabbits, some of them have goldfish.
How come you can't pronounce black names like Quvenzhané, but can say names like Schwarzenegger, Galifianakis, and LaBeouf just fine?
Quvenzhané. And yes, people can pronounce black names correctly, by the way. Usually it's phonetically. The reason why we know Galifianakis, Schwarzenegger, and LaBeouf is because before people saw them written down, we heard their names spoken. That's why we know how to pronounce these names. And by the way, how do you know what a black name or a white name is? You do realise that most names have origins that aren't necessarily from the place where they are most popular. Case in point, my name, Christopher, is actually Greek, but I'm English. And loads of people are called Jewish names, even though they are Christian, because of the, they come from that area, those names, like David, Leah, Luke, etc., etc. So, Quvenzhané could well be from another country entirely that's not black in origin. You don't know that, do you? So, there's the answer to your stupid question.
Why do you feel like all lions' lives matter, but black lives don't?
So, because of the Cecil the Lion story that happened, you have now decided in your infinite wisdom and judgment that all white people seem to think that lions' lives matters more than black lives matters because of this story that happened. That is stupid. That is absolutely fucking stupid. Nobody thinks lions' lives matter more than black lives, or any life for that matter, unless they are a misanthrope or a racist, or their name is Vegan Gains.
Why is a lion's life in Africa more important than the lives of black people here in America? What did Simba ever do for you?
I get
He's called Cecil, you nincompoop. Get his noun right. Use the proper pronouns, you shitlord.
it. Lion King was an awesome movie, but so was Selma, and so was Malcolm X.
Never seen Selma, so I can't judge the film. Lion King is okay, but it's not as good as the other older Disney films that are classics, like Jungle Book, for example. But to answer the other question, Malcolm X was rubbish, because that completely misrepresents the man. At least towards the end of his life, it completely misses out the fact that he became a lot more liberal, he became a lot less racist, and started working with white liberals to help bring about change. While Spike Lee made him out to be the Black Power, Nation of Islam icon that he was until he left and became his own man. Also, the only decent thing about that movie also was just Denzel Washington, because he's Denzel Washington, he's amazing. But that's my opinion as an historian and as a moviegoer. But I think you'll find that The Lion King is loved universally by people of all ethnic groups and colours and shapes and sizes, etc. Because it's Disney. Disney can appeal to anybody. That doesn't mean that they cannot appreciate those two films. And besides, technically, you Americans appropriated my culture. Shakespeare, you appropriated Hamlet to make The Lion King. So, please, check your privilege, shitlords.
Why is it so hard for you to acknowledge your privilege?
It's very hard to acknowledge something that doesn't exist.
How does it feel to not be the spokesperson for your entire race at any given time?
Must be nice.
I have literally been their spokesperson for a good year now when it comes to Gamergate, and in other places before that, when I've had social justice warriors, both black and white, absolutely ripping them to shreds for no reason other than the fact that these people happen to be white and mostly male. It's kind of a thing I do. I attack prejudice wherever I see it. I like to call out prejudice, and to see this video made by Buzzfeed just feeding into prejudices and making people hate each other, because to me this is a video that makes black people get fed up with white people and vice versa. This video does nothing to help bridge divides. It does nothing but burn bridges and destroy links that should be built. We should be not judging each other based on stupid, superficial bullshit we can all basically accuse other people of. All these things that you have said can be labelled at you. Do you not understand this? Jesus Christ. There's a reason why the Black Lives Matters movement is seen in such in that light, because of videos like this. And to be honest, the more I see people like this make videos like this, the more I appreciate Chris Rock's stand-up routine back in the day when he talked about black people versus niggers. It makes a whole lot more sense now, because you the people he's referring to, not as poor, he was referring to the poorer ones, but they exist in the middle class too. These people make everybody look bad in any community. There are people who make people look bad. They cause more trouble than they're worth. And that is you, the social justice warriors of all people and places, are that. They make everyone look bad. And anyway, I've had enough. I'm getting fed up of responding to these Buzzfeed videos that are supposed to help equality, but in fact make everything worse. So this has been Charming Man 93. Like, share the video, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all later.